Hi, my name's Eshela Jayawardane. I'm from the Club of KIU. I hope everyone is staying home and staying safe. So, I'm here to talk about gender equality today. And so, I'm a psychology student, and after I applied for this degree program at my university, we were asked to take an entrance exam, something like an entrance exam. And at this exam, we had an English paper, and for the English paper at the end, we had to write an essay on a given topic, and the topic was gender equality. We were asked to present our own opinion and our own viewpoint on the matter, and I don't remember everything I wrote, but the gist of it, as I remember, is that since the beginning of time, dating as far back as to the Stone Ages, the beginning of mankind, the roles that men and women played were different, but they were all aimed towards fulfilling a common goal. So, to give you a basic example, the men would go hunting, and the women would look after their shelter and their offspring. And when the men came back with sport, the women would ensure that this was distributed equally and that all the mouths were fed. So, the common goal I see here is fulfilling hunger, and the roles they played were different. It's kind of like a division of labor, and the goal was a common goal, and I guess they achieved, I guess it worked because here we are. And I think these gender roles were also the basis for what we have established as gender norms and gender roles in the modern day. And I do not in any way say that anyone has to conform to these and just live your life according to these gender roles and these gender norms. No, that is not what I'm trying to say here. I am simply stating a fact that yes, they perform different tasks, and they had their differences, but they made it work because at the end of the day, it was a teamwork. So, the reason why I also brought this up about the differences and the different roles is because I see this misconception, especially in Sri Lanka, where people quite incorrectly associate gender equality and gender similarity, and using it as a reason as to why one gender should not be treated equally as the other. So, for example, I have seen some people say that women can't do everything men do. So, why should they be treated equally as men? Well, yes, men and women have fundamental differences biologically, culturally, psychologically. And yes, I believe that biologically, they were designed in such a way that only that specific gender will be able to perform that specific task, and the other won't be able to. So, for example, only a woman can give birth, and only a man can produce a sperm, which is also vital to producing an offspring. And if you really look at it, the most primitive reason as to why men and women and humans we are here is to reproduce and ensure the survival of the human race, ensure the survival of our species. So to fulfill this purpose, we are designed biologically differently, and we have to work together to ensure the survival. So I do not. I think these differences should not be used as a reason to treat one gender as superior to the other. And if I go further into these differences, we are also culturally different. I think especially because we raise our girls and boys differently, and we have different expectations for them based on their gender. And because of this, women grow up to be more sensitive and more emotionally expressive, while boys grow up to be more aggressive and less emotionally expressive. They're actually encouraged to repress their emotions, and that is why they tend to become aggressive as adults. But also, the reason why women grow up to be more sensitive could also be because the world is more dangerous to women than it is to men. And for example, women are more likely to be victims of sexual abuse than men, and the price for sex for women is higher than that for men. For example, unwanted pregnancies. Men don't have that problem. So these are some ways that we are different culturally. And psychologically, I came across this interview of Jordan Peterson. If to anyone who doesn't know, Jordan Peterson is a personality psychologist. He's a philosopher, and he's a very famous personality in the field of psychology. So in this interview, he was asked what is the main difference between men and women, and he says the main difference between men and women psychologically is that on an average, and I think it's important to state the phrase on an average, because this isn't the case in all cases. This isn't true in every case. There are certainly exceptions, and I think that's great. So according to him, and according to psychology, the main difference between an average man and woman is that men tend to be more interested in things, and women tend to be more interested in people, which is why men are more interested in occupations that involve things, and women are more inclined to be interested in occupations that involve people. For example, that is why statistically more men are engineers and mechanics, and more women are teachers and nurses and mental health professionals. So I think this makes a lot of sense, and although the statistics may show these extremes in how the two genders are distributed in certain occupations, I think there are certainly exceptions, and I think every person should have that freedom of choice, and I think they should all be respected for what they want to do with their lives. So these are the differences between these two genders. And the reason why I wanted to state this is because, yes, there are certainly fundamental differences between men and women. But despite these differences, both genders need to be treated equally, with equal respect, given equal freedom, opportunity, and choice across all contexts. And when I say all contexts, I mean politically, economically, socially, and even emotionally. So gender inequality affects both genders. Let's be real about it. So before I go further into it, I would also like to say that I think these differences that we have should be celebrated rather than be used as reasons for discrimination. Because yes, there are differences, and I keep stressing this out because I do not understand how anyone can say, based on these differences, that one gender is superior to the other and that the other gender should be treated unjustly because of it. So yes, so as I was saying, there are differences, and this inequality, the gender gap affects both genders. Because, so I saw this in one of the speeches that Emma Watson delivered at a UN conference. And what she said was, if men are not expected to be aggressive, women won't feel compelled to be submissive. It makes so much sense. And discrimination and terrible things happen to people of all genders. And that is why the suicide rate among men across the globe in almost every country is higher than that of women. That is also why, because women are more prone and more likely to be victims of sexual abuse. And this gender inequality is also why rarely cases of domestic violence towards men go reported. And this is also why there is a pink tax, which is a tendency for products marketed towards women to be more expensive than the same product that are marketed towards men. And in ridiculous percentages, women pay more price for the same products, significantly more than men do. So that, I think, in and of itself is just unacceptable. And this is also why there is a pay gap, which is why women are paid significantly less for the same work that men do. This is why in film, for every female character, there's 2.24 male characters. It is also why we teach our boys that boys don't cry. And because boys are not allowed to cry, they grow up to be aggressive, because it is the only way that they know how to show what they feel inside. And this again leads to domestic violence and sex crimes. So it's a cycle that needs to stop. And gender equality affects both genders positively. And gender inequality isn't suppressive only towards women. It also suppresses men. So this is why I think men and women need to work together, because despite our differences, we have more similarities. And despite our differences, we are all beautifully designed. And we are all here for a purpose, to work together, to help each other, to make the world a better place. And as a team, we can obviously work better. And if we work together towards gender equality, we can have a better economy. Because if you pay women the same amount that you pay men, the most obvious thing I can point out is that more women will be encouraged to work. And as of now, only 6 countries out of 187 countries in the world give women equal legal rights to work as men. And if we don't put an end to gender inequality, it will take 108 years to achieve gender parity, which is paying both genders the same amount for the same work. And this is again according to World Economic Forum's latest gender gap, global gender gap report. And if we don't put an end to this, one girl becomes a child bride every 2 seconds. That is roughly 33,000 girls a day, and 12 million girls a year. That is just ridiculous, and which is why we need to put an end to this. And if there is one thing I want you to take from this today, is that we need to come together and work towards gender equality. So thank you so much for listening, And thank you so much for Leo Club of Batharmula Synergy for giving me this platform today. I hope everyone stays safe. Thank you and have a great day.